G'day everybody, it's Daniel and Matt here from GI Energy again. Today we're talking about Sigenergy versus Sungrow batteries. Two of the really popular batteries in Australia, two that we install a lot of, and two that we like quite a lot. If I had to pick between the two of them, just to give you a straight answer, which one is better, I'd have to pick Sigenergy, and I'll go through why in a minute. Matt, what do you think?
I think this one's probably a little bit closer, and they're the two most popular batteries that we're installing and have been installing for a while. But yeah, I'd certainly say that Sig shade this one a little bit, to be straight up.
Yeah, I agree. To go through what we're going to do, we'll go through the company and the support, the price point, the aesthetics, the backup, so how much you can back up and how, the size, so physical size and then capacity, storage capacity, install location, how easy it is to install, EV integration, safety, and then the warranty. So starting right at the top there with the company and support, I'd have to give that one to Sungrow. Matt?
I think so. I mean, they've been around longer.
Yeah.
Just if you're being straight about how long each company's been around. Sig are extremely exciting and have obviously made a huge stamp on the industry in such a short space of time.
Yeah.
But if you're weighing up between the two, obviously Sungrow as an inverter manufacturer have been around for almost 30 years, which is a huge amount of time compared to a lot of others in the industry. And their support is obviously very renowned for obviously being very timely.
Yeah.
Efficient in terms of getting feedback in terms of what a warranty claim if that's required, or just some feedback on the monitoring or something like that. And obviously as a partner of Sungrow for over a decade, maybe to be frank, we're maybe get slightly better support there because of that relationship.
Yeah, probably.
I've been pretty impressed with Sig initially as well. We had an installation a week or two ago, obviously at the start of this cheaper home battery rebate, where there was something that didn't seem quite right with the controller, maybe just a setting or something else. We contacted Sigenergy, and the next afternoon, so within 24 hours, a Sigenergy employee went to that site. Yeah. So it wasn't even that we needed to go back the next day when obviously we were installing another system. They just went out, checked that everything was okay, and just confirmed the commissioning. So that was pretty impressive. So both are awesome, but I think, if Sungrow have been around longer, you've got to be fair to say.
I think so. Yeah. I think, definitely. If we're talking about company and support, I'd say, as you said, Sungrow support's better than anybody. It's with the manufacturers that we deal with, which are the better manufacturers.
Yeah.
They're definitely the best one out of anybody. And as you said, they've been around longer. Sig, the biggest gripe with Sig is that it's new. That's the biggest objection you get. So we've definitely got to give Sungrow a tick in that box for the first category.
I don't think it's an issue that Sig is new, but it's obviously a conversation that we have. If that's something that may be of a slight concern to an end user, which is understandable.
Yeah.
At least have that conversation, and maybe that's where you look at Sungrow.
Yeah.
And obviously that's where Sig is striving to be in the market. So which is great.
Yeah, 100%. Definitely not a knock on Sig. We obviously love them as well. Next one was price. So they're both actually really well priced, aren't they? This is pretty tight again.
Yeah, I think depending on the inverter and the number of modules and obviously the overall kilowatt hours, which would vary slightly depending on the number of modules that you have, the price is pretty similar. Like Sig have been really aggressive with their pricing, and Sungrow have always maintained a really attractive price point. So 3-phase probably is ultimately, you could just draw a line and it'd almost be the same. Maybe some of the sort of smaller Sungrow single-phase ones might be a little bit lower because there's no gateway.
Yeah.
So it may just come down to the components, but obviously with a Sungrow battery installation, especially the smaller single-phase or the smaller 3-phase, you'll have a changeover switch, obviously in the switchboard. So by the time that's installed, and maybe some switchboard work to create space or potentially bring it up to standard, and then the backup circuits as well. Maybe at that point you almost end up being pretty similar.
Yeah.
So both are really well priced.
Not much in it, is there at all? The only time where Sungrow is a fair bit cheaper is when you've got an existing customer with a Sungrow hybrid battery already installed. Sungrow obviously been around a lot longer. There's a lot more of them out there. So if you've got a Sungrow hybrid battery ready inverter installed now, it's going to be cheaper, isn't it, to do Sungrow by quite a long way?
Yeah.
Not many SIGs out there, obviously, that don't have batteries. Other than that, as you said, they're pretty comparable there, aren't they? So
absolutely,
it's a draw there, I guess.
I mean, what else can you say? Like the price is solid. The price is great. So.
It is. The next one we had was aesthetics. So how do they look? I know what I think there. Which one do you think looks better? Remembering we've got an SPH and an SBR battery here with Sungrow that we're talking about. So there's actually two different types. SPH is the 5 kilowatt hour module. The SBR is the smaller 3.2 kilowatt hour module, both stackable.
Yeah.
The SPH looks better than the SBR, but overall, which one do you think's better, Sig or Sungrow?
I think Sig.
Yeah, you do. You love the Sig, don't you?
I do, mate. I'm a sucker even just for the lights and stuff. Like maybe a bit like nerd out a little bit on that. But from some feedback from users when they've come home and it's obviously showing the state of charge level in that lighting.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's pretty unique.
Yeah.
Like it might not be something that actually makes it perform better or do anything, but you park up your car at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock and you're like, okay, I've got 80%, 90%. I don't even need to whip out my phone and look at the app, which is pretty easy as well.
Yeah.
Sungrow's a good looking battery, and they've obviously made it very well, both models. And obviously you have the separate inverter. So I guess it comes down to how particular you may be about inverter, conduit, battery, or an all-in-one with the Sig. So both in terms of, the lights are cool, how it sits and how it looks, but the all-in-one, I think you can't go past that.
I agree, 100%. That's a clear winner there for me, Sig.
Yeah.
For all the reasons you said. I think the SBR is probably, the SBH probably looks better than the SBR. It's a bit more modern looking, but it's still, as you said, not all-in-one, and I think Sig is a clear winner there. Backup, in terms of how much you can back up in your house, how easy it is, single, three-phase.
Yeah.
Who wins that one?
If you're going across the board, Sigenergy without a doubt, because it's single phase or three-phase full home backup. You obviously can separate circuits with a power sensor if you want to remove your aircon or another appliance, obviously just with another bit of kit. But because it is full backup, whole home, obviously if you've got a shed or something else as well that comes off that same line, that would obviously work, being cautious with what you use. The Sungrow three-phase larger inverters, like 15 and up, a full three-phase backup as well.
Yeah.
So obviously that would marry up to what we're talking about with the Sig, but the smaller three-phase, 5 and 10, or some of the smaller single-phase, obviously then you're doing essential circuits. So 2 or 3 circuits, maybe lighting, power point where your fridge is, Wi-Fi, whatever that might be.
Yeah.
And there's obviously a lower current limit that can obviously operate during a power outage. And I think the key with the Sungrow that maybe doesn't get talked about enough is if it is the smaller three-phase unit or the single phase, whatever you're putting on backup there, you're actually taking off the grid. So you're rewiring that through the inverter, which is why we do the changeover switch.
You have to have,
Because obviously then if there is the unlikely failure that could happen, whatever those circuits are, if there's no inverter there, it's not associated with the grid anymore.
Yeah.
So bigger three-phase is really awesome. You've just got to be a bit more considered about how it's being explained in terms of how that backup will work, and obviously not to overload it. Like if your PowerPoint circuit in the kitchen where your fridge is also has your microwave, your kettle, your toaster, and then you just go boom, boom, boom in the morning when you're making breakfast and making a coffee or whatever else. Yeah. I don't like coffee from a kettle, like from proper coffee, but you know what I mean? Same thing.
Coffee snob.
I am, mate. But if you went all 3 of those in one hit, you're going to go over 10 amps or 15 amps ultimately. Yeah. So it might trip. Yeah. And obviously then you go and switch everything back on, which maybe not ideal in the middle of winter. Yeah. So if you're going across the board, Sig.
And just to be clear, that's with or without grid power too, because it goes through the inverter. So if your inverter fails, regardless of whether there's grid power, you're not going to have power to those circuits unless you've got your changeover switch in place, which we always do. Yeah. I don't think everybody does.
So it's not included in the box. Yeah. So it's obviously, we've done that, to be frank, through learning about it.
Yeah, well, we put one in and it failed. Yeah. And the person didn't have power on those circuits until
on a Saturday.
It was replaced. So it can happen. And as great as Sungrow are with their support, and they were quick to get to it. Sig handles backup better. Yeah. For those reasons.
Absolutely.
What else? Size. So capacity, both modular. Yeah. Obviously some differences there with the SBH and the SBR. So Sig versus Sungrow overall with the. Let's do the capacity of the battery before the physical size.
Capacity would be Sigenergy. Obviously, you can do 48 kilowatt hours in a single stack, and the inverter obviously forming that all in one. Yeah. The SBR on the bigger three-phase can be 40 kilowatt hours, so 8 5 kilowatt hour modules. But there's a sort of matrix for how many modules can go with each inverter based on single phase, three-phase, and then the size of the inverter. So if you've got a smaller 10 kilowatt three-phase Sungrow, it would cap it down to 30 kilowatt hours. And there's obviously some different combinations with the Sigenergy as well. Yeah. But ultimately, with the single-phase 10, which is the most popular of either model, obviously on a single-phase site, the Sigenergy allows the full 48. Yeah. If it's the SBR 3.2 kilowatt hour modules, it's 19.2 in a single stack, and then you've got the second stack or third. So the capacity can obviously achieve the same outcome over multiple stacks.
Yeah.
But obviously then you're potentially talking about more space, additional cabling, additional work as well. So the Sigenergy all-in-one, hands down.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
It's just such an energy dense battery, isn't it? In that small stack, to get to 48 kilowatt hours is almost unbelievable when you compare it to some other batteries.
Yeah.
To all other batteries, really. If you look at the volume of space it takes up, just moving on to the physical size, it's incredible, really.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, as I said, you've got the inverter built in there as well, so you obviously have to give that some consideration.
Yeah.
But even in the full 48 kilowatt hour stack with the inverter, you're talking just over 6 feet high. So pretty reasonable amount for that amount of storage.
Yeah.
Whereas if you were doing a full stack of the SBH of the Sungrow, I'm trying to think of that job you did where we had 3 separate stacks.
We had 160 kilowatt hours of storage.
Yeah, or 4. Sorry, that would have been 4 then. So
full. Yeah.
1.4 meters high per stack.
Yeah.
And about 650 wide. But obviously then you've got the spacing between each one.
And then you've got your inverter. Yeah.
So
it took up a whole room.
Yeah, and I guess that comes down to planning, obviously, your location for it as well. But because of the way the Sigenergy all fits in one, as you said, it's so dense. It's pretty unbeatable there. So the smaller Sungrow, like we've got one here sitting here, 9.6 kilowatt hours, which is about 600 high off the ground. So if you're a smaller user and you've got a smaller inverter, maybe a smaller panel array because of roof space or your needs, it's pretty snug. Like it can fit in most places. Similar depth. You know what I mean? 260, 300 deep. So can fit in most garages, or obviously if you've got side access as well, if it has to go outside for whatever reason. But with the Sungrow hybrid, you need to have it in reasonable proximity to the inverter. Yeah. So I had a client about a week ago that already had a hybrid installed, which is an awesome situation, but they then wanted the battery on the other side of the house, right, in the garage. Which is fine, that's doable. You can be about 20 meters away, obviously for that DC run. Yeah. But ultimately, it's an extra cost, extra labor time to put it there. So because the SIG all goes together, nice and neat. Yeah. Size and capacities, spot on.
Wins on both of them.
I'd say so.
What about the install location? Obviously, we get asked a lot of questions about can batteries go in and outdoors? Obviously, regardless of the IP rating or any of that stuff, we want to put them indoors where we can. Yeah. Not always possible. So Sungrow, Sig, which one's better in terms of flexibility of where you can put it?
Yeah, that one's probably a bit harder. So I mean, obviously with the Sigenergy, you've got the gateway. So the gateway does the backup and the monitoring. That will generally go close to the MSB, the switchboard, main switchboard, or whatever else. And then you've got the option of running AC and comms to the battery location that you have in mind. So if it's in a garage, as you mentioned, that's perfect. Yeah. So both could go in there, absolutely. I guess maybe because of that cable run, you've obviously got to be a bit more selective, possibly in terms of just the install side. If it's a 2-story home, your garage is on one side, your meter box is on the other, and you've got an big up and over 2 stories, you can be talking another day's work, and obviously a lot of cabling there, potentially thicker cabling because of the distance, plus comms. So I don't think that there's a real clear winner in either way, because obviously you try and keep the inverter and the battery together anyway if it's the Sungrow. So either way, you're going to end up with a similar conversation around, I want it in the garage, it must be there. Okay. Is there a spot maybe if it did have to go outside just with some good airflow? Yeah. So there is a purpose-built cover for the Sungrow that's obviously been around a little while. And with the Sigenergy, there hasn't really been that conversation around the cover as much, I guess, at this stage. So I guess more than anything just comes back to speaking to somebody that knows what they're doing. But I think it's probably a reasonable draw between both there, because you're going to have to find somewhere suitable for it. So both are just as easy to put inside, if that's possible with your particular location.
But and they can both go outside as well.
Yeah, they're both IP rated to be outside. It's just what you're presented with on some of those sites.
Out of the sun, basically, out of the elements as much as possible.
Yeah.
Next one was the EV, so electrical vehicle integration. If you're buying an EV, you own an EV, you're thinking about an EV and you want to charge your EV, what's the integration like with both of those two?
You called it an electrical vehicle, so it shows you're not looking at one.
I'm not looking at one.
An electric vehicle. Obviously, Sigenergy has the AC or the DC charger. Yeah. Whereas Sungrow has the AC charger for residential purposes. Yeah. So both would be able to charge your car as quickly from AC. So
Yeah.
if you're single phase, 7 kilowatts. If it's 3-phase, generally 11 is what the car would limit it to, even with a 22 kilowatt charger.
Yeah.
So both will allow AC, obviously smart charging if you've got the full ecosystem, so all Sig or all Sungrow. I guess, again, because the Sigenergy has that DC charger as an option, might be a bit more expensive than other options, but when I say that, there isn't really another DC charger option. So it's probably priced accordingly for what that should be.
Yeah.
For the majority of clients we have, they've been pretty satisfied to charge it at 7 or 11 kilowatts, maybe leveraging a certain retailer to obviously assist with that through bad weather or overnight on a lower rate or something. So because Sig has both options, has to be the choice there.
Yeah, for sure.
But in general, whatever system you have there, the AC option will be generally satisfactory for what most people need to do.
Just to make that clear for people who are not sure what the difference is, an AC charger is your basic charger. That's what you see with almost everybody who owns an EV. Small charger sits on the wall, typically in the garage, charges your car slowly.
Yeah.
A DC charger will basically charge your car quicker.
Yeah.
And Sig will be able to incorporate battery, grid and solar into that one charge if you choose to. It is expensive, but I think all DC chargers are expensive. As you said, Sig's the only one that have one that integrates with the battery. It comes from the same manufacturer, but I think you can buy other DC chargers independently from that.
Possibly, yeah. I'm not, even though I have an EV, as you take the mick out of you before not having one or looking into one, but it's not something that I've seen other solar and battery manufacturers have yet.
Yeah, okay.
So, and obviously we're opening up a whole new avenue here of vehicle to grid, vehicle to home.
Yeah.
So that space will change and change quite rapidly. So at least with a Sigenergy system that's installed, you can add that in.
Yeah, so it's the clear winner again now.
If that's something you want to look at, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think I would do one. I would definitely want to have that option if I was getting an electrical vehicle. Even if you weren't going to do it right now, because they do take a while to charge. That's one of my reasons I haven't bought one. So if you had a faster charger, even though they are, quite expensive to buy, I would want the option to do it.
Absolutely.
Safety. So both great manufacturers, both very, very reputable. Neither battery is unsafe. I'd personally be comfortable having either of them in my own home with my kids there. Wouldn't bother me at all. But out of the two of them, which one do you think wins?
I think the way that Sig have obviously added in the fire suppression, the temperature sensors and the gas sensors, they've obviously taken it to another level. Yeah. So clear winner there. But as you mentioned before, both are very, very safe. With the Sungrow, there's thousands of these installed for many, many years now. So they're obviously one of the earlier brands that actually made a battery that's still making that same product and the second model as well. So from a safety side, and we've installed hundreds and hundreds of them over the years, no issues at all. So you can't fault that product. I think Sig have just taken it to the next level. So in summary, they're both very, very safe and no issue with having either in your home. But if that's something you've looked at and it's a real consideration to have, just the fact they've taken it up a notch, I think, pushes it that direction. Yeah,
I agree. You've got to give that one to Sig. Lastly, the warranty. Both, again, we're not sort of reviewing with these are very, very good batteries, both of them, so you'd expect them both to have good warranties. Is there a winner there between the two of them, do you think?
Well, I guess on paper, the warranty is the same, isn't it? So 10 years, obviously 70% depth of discharge at year 10.
Yeah.
So that means that if you had a 10 kilowatt hour battery, you still have at least 7 kilowatt hours of usable battery storage at that point, which is pretty impressive.
It is, yeah.
So you can't obviously split the two based on that. I guess, again, the Sungrow's been around a bit longer, more units installed, but ultimately we haven't got to that point to say, when this happened, this was the feedback.
Yeah.
So, I guess touch wood, we haven't had a warranty claim. But ultimately, I'm sure, like with anything, that will likely happen at some stage.
Yeah.
And that's where it's put to the test that it is as good as it is and the companies are as great as they are.
Yeah.
So I think it's that's a fair one to say both are good.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, well, as we said a few times, they're both great batteries, and it's kind of just horses for courses, isn't it? For what you need, where you're going to put it, what you want to get out of it, which one. I think obviously it's pretty clear that overall we'd say Sigenergy is a better option to purchase right now, but we still install a lot of Sungrow batteries, and there's definitely a place for them. If you'd like to know more, please get in touch. We can do a customized proposal that will show you how both batteries work with your home or business and give you some savings estimates and all that stuff. So if you'd like to get in touch, please do. If not, hopefully you've got some value from the video, and maybe we'll talk to you in the future. Cheers, Matt.
Thank you. Cheers, Dan.